says Daryl Morey was, quote, misinformed and not educated on the situation when he tweeted in support of anti-government protesters in Hong Kong. Morey's tweet ignited a firestorm of controversy that nearly led to the cancellations of the Lakers and Nets preseason games in China. The games were played, but none of the players spoke publicly about the controversy while in China. Last night, before the Lakers' preseason game with the Warriors, LeBron was asked specifically about how the NBA handled the situation.
I'm not here to judge how the league handled the situation. I just think that, when you're misinformed or you're not educated about something, and I'm just talking about, the tweet itself, you never know the ramifications that can happen. We all seen what that did. Not only did for our league, but for all of us in America, for people in China as well. And sometimes you have to think through things that you say that may cause harm, not only for yourself, but for the majority of people. And I think that's just a prime example of that. We all talk about this freedom of speech. Yes, we all do have freedom of speech, but at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen when you're not thinking about others and you're only thinking about yourself. So I don't believe, I don't want to get into a word or sentence feud with Daryl. Morey, but I believe he wasn't educated on the situation at hand, and he spoke, and so many people could have been harmed, not only financially but physically, emotionally, spiritually. So just be careful what we tweet and we say and what we do. Even though yes, we do have freedom of speech, but there can be a lot of negative that comes with that too.
Apparently reading the room a little bit, LeBron then went on to clarify his comments on Twitter, saying, let me clear up the confusion. I do not believe there was any consideration for the consequences and ramifications of the tweet. I'm not discussing the substance. Others can talk about that. He continued, my team and this league just went through a difficult week. I think people need to understand what a tweet or statement can do to others, and I believe nobody stopped and considered what would happen. Could have waited a week to send it. We're joined now by NBA Countdown's
PR nightmare.
Right? I mean,
PR nightmare.
So what do you find the most problematic about what LeBron said?
There's a lot of things here, Elle. Number one, I've always known Daryl Morey to be very informed when he speaks. Now, he may not have done all of his due diligence on thinking what the repercussions of the comment was, but, when LeBron said it's, not helping others, Daryl Morey was sending out that tweet to help others. We went on NBA Countdown, we discussed this thoroughly because my point was, at that time, I advised the players not to say anything. There's nothing that LeBron James can say that will fundamentally change what a communism country is talking about, what they're doing right now. He's not going to change lives. I understand that he is the social conscious of the NBA here as it relates to the United States. You can speak out on things like systematic oppression, use analogies like this. But you have to be so strategic and so tactical when you speak about this issue as it revolves around international politics. That's what you're dealing with, not just politics between the NBA and China, but a trade war that's happening between our country and their country right now. So you have to be tactical, you have to think through, and this doesn't help any situation at all. He didn't say anything by saying these comments, and he only inflamed the whole situation.
So essentially you feel like he had a word salad and he would have done better, because it feels a little bit like he was pressured into, there's been a lot of calls for someone to speak out. He was the first person that chose to do it.
There's that old saying, less is more. Now, if you want to have a prepared statement where you can thoroughly think through this with your legal team and with your advisors to then maybe write an op-ed article, I understand that. But speaking freely in front of the public, that's not going to do justice.
Well, we are certainly going to do the NBA a little bit justice. We're going to talk about
emotion, just be mentally focused. We'll see what happens. Play confident.
Klay Thompson in the zone, running the floor, a foul. Thompson grabs his left knee.
That knee injury will keep him out.
Green and throws it away. Warriors ball. An NBA championship on the line. The Curry puts up a three. Won't go. We the North are now we the champions.
Welcome back to the Woj Low NBA season preview special. That feels like it happened somehow 2 weeks ago and like a lifetime ago. How about that? The defending champion Toronto Raptors, the purple dinosaur team from the North, won it all, and then everything changed. All the star players switched teams. The landscape is totally different. Toronto's probably not a Tier 1 title contender this year, almost certainly not. Sorry to the Raptors fans. But this is the most wide open season in recent memory with the dismantling of the Warriors by injury and free agency defection. You and I both made our separate lists of our sort of inner circle tier 1 title contenders. We're going to put them up. I haven't seen yours yet. The suspense has been killing me all day. And bam, we do have some differences. We have the same 5 teams right off the top. You have Blazers and Nuggets as teams 6 and 7. You do not have the Rockets. I have the Rockets and not the Blazers and Nuggets. So I would say let's start with the differences because we're all going to agree on those top 4 teams at least. We can talk about Utah. You can pick the direction of this. Do you want to chastise me for having the Rockets and tell me why I'm wrong, or do you want to defend the Blazers and the Nuggets?
Yeah, I'm going on the defense. I'm going
positive. You're going positive. You're not going negative. You're going positive.
Yeah, it's too early in the campaign to go negative. So the Jazz, Blazers, Nuggets to me are teams. They're like the ankle injury away team who could win a title. That if they're playing the Clippers or Lakers in a playoff series and a Paul George goes out with an injury, LeBron or an Anthony Davis goes down, they are good enough, talented enough, they've had the continuity, they've got elite coaching to be able to overtake one of those teams and do something you rarely see in an NBA 4 of 7 series, an upset. But those teams are good enough to do that. But there's no question, the Lakers and Clippers in the West and the Bucks and Sixers in the East are the elite.
So I believe in the Jazz. I don't think the Jazz are an ankle injury team. I think the Jazz, if they hit their ceiling, are just can win. Their problem in the last 2 playoffs has been a lack of another shot creator besides Donovan Mitchell, and just missing wide open threes to like a preposterous degree. They should have corrected both of those problems by trading for Mike Conley and signing Bojan Bogdanovic. I really like the Jazz. I think they're two-way balanced. They've had the best defense in the West the last 2 years. I really like that team. Nuggets, Blazers, Rockets are kind of where the rubber meets the road. So why not Rockets?
I am not a believer in this tandem of James Harden and Russell Westbrook together, that's going to be a partnership that's going to allow the Rockets to do the last few years that no one else in the league could do, and that was really push the best team in the league to the limit in Golden State.
And that's why they're grandfathered in for me.
Right, and but Westbrook, it is not as much offensively I worry about them together, although, what Westbrook does well, which is attack the rim, play with the ball, he's going to have to play with James Harden. You've got to be able to play without the ball. You've got to be able to make open shots. Those haven't been his strengths, but defensively.
No, the open shot thing definitely has not been.
But defensively, I think the reason that the Rockets have been elite the last few years, yes, they'll score the ball. I do not think they will be an elite defensive team. And when you just talked about Utah will be. They were Quinn Snyder, and people are going to see it this year now. This is one of the very best coaches in the NBA. Now they've got shot makers. They are going to be really, really dangerous.
See, I do think Russ brings ingredients that, in theory, the Rockets need: pace, a little bit of chaos, a little bit of not James Harden dribbling 100 times as good as James Harden is. We'll see, but the Rockets are one of many examples this year. This has been the trend of the summer. 2 stars, not 3. A big 2, not a big 3. Now, the reality is, almost every kind of team building model has won, right? Like, what was Toronto? A big 1, a big 1.5? What were the Dirk Nowitzki Mavs? There have been big 3s throughout all of our lifetimes in Boston and LA and Miami and Cleveland. There was a big 4 in the Warriors. Big 2s have won many times before. The history's been done. So I'm not sure any model is any better than the other. But what was your take on the big 2? Was the big 2 an intentional creation of teams? Was it an accident of free agency? And where are we going from here?
Well, the players decided that it was going to be a big 2 and not a big 3 because 2 of the best 3 or 4 arguably players in the world, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, decided that they were going to be part of big 2s. And if Kevin Durant stays in Golden State, if Kawhi goes to the Lakers instead of the Clippers, I mean, you would have shut the league down this year. There would have been one team and no oxygen for anybody else.
I think we all would have moved to Los Angeles. It would have been mandatory.
Absolutely. And so now the talent has spread out. This is always what Adam Silver imagined. This is what he's wanted. And it's not parity, but it's more parity among the elite players in the league. And listen, they all flock to a couple markets: New York, Los Angeles.
They spread out, but they spread like way out to the coasts. The big two, big three thing is interesting because the Nets and the Clippers three are the most interesting examples because they have 2 stars and they have depth. They have real legitimate depth. And that's what you sacrifice to get the 3rd star. You sacrifice your depth. And I think the Nets, with a lot of young trade assets and a lot of draft picks, they have an extra 1st-round pick coming in, are going to be the team that most faces the